So, Planechase 2012. 4 decks. Stack of planar cards and such. There's new cards in here. There's old cards with new art. There's all sorts of fun in here. Alright. So, let's start taking a look at these, shall we? Now, I haven't played any of these decks yet. I've heard some interesting things. I've looked over the decks. I've made some evaluations of my own by looking at the cards. One of the things I want to talk about, number one, it's nice to see new cards in these products. It would be better if we got to see some of these cards reprinted again later. Just as an example, we've got some really nice cards in the Commander decks. Some of them are new. It would be nice to see them reprinted somewhere. But that's arbitrary for the time being. Now, right here we've got one of the Planechase decks. This one is the Chaos Reigns deck. This is the deck that has a lot of cards with Cascade. Yeah. So what do we got here? We've got all sorts of fun, happy stuff. It's pretty interestingly focused on its mechanic. One of the things I like is that singletons, that is cards that are only one-ofs in the deck, not so common. Generally you're going to get 2 of any given non-rare card. Sometimes 2 of uncommons. For instance, right here we got Illusionary Angel. It's a new card. It's a 4/4 flyer for 2 and a blue. Cast only if you've cast another spell this turn. That's kind of spiffy. I mean, it's an undercosted 4/4 flyer. What do you want, you know? Shardless Agent. This is an interesting one. It's a colorless green and a blue for an artifact creature, human rogue, 2/2 with Cascade. I think that's new. I'm not 100% certain. I missed out on a lot of stuff on our Lara block. So when I see things with like Cascade and Unearth and stuff like that, I'm not 100% sure. For those who want to know, it's like, yeah, I've been playing since Revised, but I missed out on a Lara block because I was kind of sort of slightly in Iraq at the time. This deployment thing, you know, it happens. We got 2 copies of Bloodbraid Elf. I want to say that's new art, too. Bloodbraid Elf it's a good card. What else? We've got the Ethereum Horn Sorcerer. He's 4, a blue and a red for a 3/6. Kind of hard to see with the camera's resolution. It's a 3/6 with Cascade, and you can pay a colorless red and a blue to bounce him to your hand. That's nice. Maelstrom Wanderer. He's 5, blue, red, green for a 7/5. Creatures you control have haste with Cascade. Yeah! And of course, all the decks have a Fractured Power Stone. It's a 2 mana for an artifact that taps for 1 colorless, or you can tap it to roll the planar die. And activate that ability only as a sorcery. The planar die is one of those Planechase things. It's a normal 6-sided die. You've got 4 sides that are blank, 1 side that triggers a planar effect, and the other side that makes you planeswalk. Each Planechase deck comes with a planar die. Yay. So anyways, from what I've heard, this deck is the most powerful of the 4, which doesn't really surprise me, because it's based around Cascade, which is a stupid good mechanic. It's a free spell mechanic. I don't know why Wizards keeps printing free spell mechanics, thinking one day they're gonna make one that ain't broken. I don't get it. They tried it in Urza's block. It didn't work. They tried it in, I mean, you know, the Urza mechanic where when, you know, the spell in question resolves or the creature comes into play, you untap number of lands equal to its converted mana cost. So, for example, you had Palinchron, which was 5 and double blue. When it hit the board, you untap up to 7 lands. Or you had what was it? I can't even remember what it was called. But they had versions of that Palinchron and a bunch of other stuff, and it's like free, and they were all horrifyingly abusable. Horrifyingly. And then there was the storm mechanic, which was another free spell mechanic. Whenever you cast it, when you cast this spell, put one copy of it on the stack for each other spell already cast this turn. Yeah, people would just cast ritual spells and draw card effects and more ritual spells, and then when they drop their storm spell, next thing you know, there's there's game winning. You sit there and you look at it and you're like, you're kidding me, really? What just happened? I just won the game. And Cascade falls into the same boat. It just sits there and, hey, I win the game. Really? No, really? 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 So yeah, Wizards keeps trying to publish free spell mechanics, and they're all broken. I don't know what the hell they're thinking when they do it. Anyway, moving on. A little bit sidetracked there, don't you think, guys? The next deck, which is the Knight of the Ninja. Ha! Oh, the ninja is silent and stealthful. Oh, does not admit he exists. The classic ninja outfit is not what was actually worn by ninja. For those who don't know, the classic ninja outfit is actually what was worn by stagehands in Japanese plays. What would happen is, they're all decked out in black so they can blend into the background in the shadows on the stage, and frequently they'd be there to move things around and such, or if a character had to throw something at another character, the stagehand would come out of nowhere and, say, for example, grab a dagger that someone was throwing at another character in the play, and just walk the dagger across the stage and into the other, and to the other character, to the other actor. And the audience was just plain used to ignoring the stagehands like this. It was just a convention of their theater. It's like ignoring this. It's like ignoring the special effects in wire. It's like ignoring the wires in a wire kung fu movie before we had digital effects that could edit them out. And of course, what has started happening is whenever a ninja would appear in one of these things, what they do is they take the first time they did it, I'm sure it was a shock. It would take the audience by surprise, because you'd have the stagehand sitting there, moving tables and whatnot in, and then you'd have a character sitting there or doing whatever, and then all of a sudden the stagehand would murder the character. Murder in quotes there. And this took people by surprise, because they're like, holy crap! The stagehand just interacted with the play! That's not supposed to happen! I mean, whoever first thought of that, I swear it was a work of genius. It probably redefined the role of the stagehand in Japanese theater. But whatever, right? Whatever. We got a bunch of fun stuff in here. We've got a pair of Baleful Strix. He's a blue and a black, 1/1 artifact creature bird, flying, death touch. Enters the battlefield, draw a card. That's nice. That's really nice. I believe that's new. That's a really nice card. Sakashima's Student, I want to say he's new. I'm not 100% certain. He's a 2 and double blue for a 0/0 human ninja with ninjutsu of a colorless and a blue. Oh, there's a mechanic just because of the name they can't publish again outside of a Japanese themed set. They just can't do it just because of the name. When it enters the for those that don't know, a creature with ninjutsu, the ninjutsu is an interesting ability. You can put the creature into play tapped and attacking for its ninjutsu cost, but you also have to return an unblocked creature from the battlefield to your hand, an unblocked creature you control. So the idea being is oh, that creature I attacked with that you didn't block, it's really a ninja. Ninja. Yeah, when the Sakashima student comes into play, you may have it enter the battlefield of as a copy of any other creature on the board, except it's still a ninja in addition to its other types. Yay, ninjas! Silent Blade Oni. Creature. Demon Ninja. Yes, it's a Demon Ninja. I'm not sure how that makes sense, but I guess it does. 3, double blue, double black, 6/5, ninjutsu spur, 4 blue and a black. When it deals combat damage to a player, look at the player's hand. You may cast a non-land card in that player's hand without paying its mana cost. That's just mean. That is just mean. And I like mean cards. Unfortunately, he's really high on the mana curve, too. So, yeah, that's not exactly something that should put in the deck a lot. Vela the Nightclad. She's an interesting one. 4, a blue and a black for a 4/4 legendary human. Wizard. Intimidate. Other creatures you control have Intimidate. Whenever she or another creature you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Note that it leaves the battlefield, not goes to the graveyard from the battlefield or enters the... It leaves. So that's kind of interesting. There are ways to abuse that. Lots of ways. What else we got here? We got Tusai of the Shinobi. I want to say that's new. I'm not 100% certain. I was around for Kamigawa block, but I didn't get a lot of cards from it. Kamigawa was a very, very flavorful block. Unfortunately, it was really bad. There were very, very few playable cards in Kamigawa block. And the few cards that were of the few cards in Kamigawa block that were really playable, the only ones that really stick out in my mind are Ghostly Prison, Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker, and there was something else. It was this card. It was only the tiniest bit broken. I believe it was Omizawa's Jit, or Jitte, or however you want to pronounce it. I've always pronounced it Jit. It's probably like pronounced Jitte or something silly like that. I don't know. I don't know. Don't quote me on this. But yeah, the Sai of the Shinobi. It's 1 to play, 2 to equip. Equip creature gets +1/+1. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach Sai of the Shinobi to it. That's actually not bad. It's not bad. Believe it or not, it's pretty cool in multiples. Look, it's another Fractured Power Stone. They all have one. I probably shouldn't have put like I put one aside from every deck. I don't know why. I could only left out one. Concentrate. That looks like new art to me. It's a cute card. 2 double blue sorcery. Draw 3. That's not bad. That's not bad. Quiet as Spike. I know it's a reprint, but it's a really spiffy card. It's a 3 colorless artifact. Equipment. Equips for 3. Equipped creature has Death Touch. If a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half his or her life, rounded up. That's funk. That's funk. Next we come to the Primordial Hunger deck. It's a Devour-based deck. It's got a few cards that are designed to generate tokens, or replace themselves when they die, or make more tokens, blah blah blah. We got the Fractured Power Stone. We got a Dragon Lair Spider. I can't recall if that's new or not. It's 2 double red, double green, 5/6 reach. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you get a 1/1 green insect token. Okay. The Prey Caesar Dragon. I'm thinking he's new. He's 4 double red for 4/4 flying with Devour 2. Whenever he attacks, it deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on him. Now, what's kind of interesting about that is, of course, when he hits the board, well, as it enters the battlefield, at this point it's too late to counter it. As he enters the battlefield, you can sacrifice any number of creatures. For each creature you sacrificed in this way, he gets 2 +1/+1 counters. All well and good. Now, here's my big thing. The Devour mechanic, in and of itself, is usually card disadvantage. Even in this deck, it's not great, because what it basically does is you put a bunch of +1/+1 counters on one of your dudes, and you might as well put a gigantic bullseye on him and say, hey, return me to my owner's hand. Kill me, do something. Whatever you do, don't let me stay on the board. Oh, and if you do, all of the effort that the guy who plays me put into putting me on the board, that setting me up and everything, it's just been wasted. Completely wasted. And which is why I say this is probably the weakest of the decks. The weakest of them. However, we got this lovely new thing, a new legendary Hellion, Qawamity the Insatiable, for 3, a red, and a green. He's a 0/0, which means his power toughness is based entirely on the +1/+1 counters on him. He has Devour X, where X is the number of creatures devoured this way. Now, this is going to force people to do math. Oh dear, that's a dirty word, ain't it, guys? Math. What this basically means is, as it enters the battlefield, you sacrifice any number of creatures, and then you put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the square of the number of creatures that you sacrificed. Now, for those that don't know what a square is, that means you multiply that number by itself. So if you only sacrificed one creature for him, he only gets 1 counter. Only 1. Because 1 times 1 is 1. You sacrifice 2 creatures. 2 creatures. He gets 4 counters. Because 2 times 2 is 4. You sacrifice 3 creatures, you get 9 counters on him. You sacrifice 4, he gets 16. You sacrifice 5, he gets 25. You sacrifice 6, he gets 36. You sacrifice 7, he gets 42? No. I'm trying to remember what 7 times 7. Holy crap. 49. 49. 49. Yeah, if you sacrifice more than like 4 or 5 creatures to him, something has gone drastically wrong. And you're putting all of your eggs in one basket. That's generally a bad thing. Alright, last deck. Last deck. Savage Ores. Now it's an aura-based deck, which means, that is usually creature enchantments, which means it tends to operate on at large risk of card disadvantage. Though not as bad in my opinion as this Devour Beast over here. A few cards I want to talk about. Just briefly, we got a core Spirit Dancers reprinted in here. She's bunk. We got a pair of Armored Griffins. I don't know if he's new or not, but he's a really good card. I mean, he's 3 to white for 2/3 flying vigilance. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Reprint of Celestial Ancient in here. That's nice as well. Krond the Dawnclad. One of the few Archons in the game. He's legendary, triple green and triple white to cast. He's a 6/6 flying vigilance. When he attacks, if he's enchanted, exile target permanent. That's pretty saucy. That's pretty saucy. You know what else is saucy? Is Rancor, which, rumor has it, is being reprinted in the next core set. It's a single green enchanted creature, gets +2/+0 and trample. If Rancor is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, return it to owner's hand. That's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. I mean, if nothing else, turn 1, I'm going to play a Forest and an Ornithopter. I'm going to put a Rancor on the Ornithopter. I have a 2/2 flying trample. Go. It's worth it. It's so damn worth it. Come on. Pair of Felidar Umbras. A card inspired by the Felidar Sovereign and the Totem Armor cards from Rise of the Eldrazi. It's a colorless and a white enchanted creature. Has lifelink. You can pay a colorless and a white to attach the Felidar Umbra to target creature you control, so you can move it around. That's nice. And of course, Totem Armor. There's also a green and white card here. I believe it's Indrik Umbra, and which references like the Indrik Stomper and the Indrik Stomp Howler, I think it was as well, I don't remember, from Ravnica block. And of course, you know, Wizards has confirmed that the large set coming out this fall is Return to Ravnica. Oh yeah. Quiet Disrepair, I put this one off to the side because this card always bugged me because it looked familiar, and as I was going through this deck myself the first time, I realized, wait, that's an homage to the original art on Disenchant. That card, of course, was originally from somewhere in Time Spiral block. And, of course, a Fractured Power Stone. Now, this being Planechase, we have the decks. And the decks are nice. The decks have new cards. I mean, the decks are all sorts of things. You know what I'm saying? But, what's going to really be what really should steal the show, even more than the cards, or at least as much as the cards, are the planes. Now, I'm not very familiar with the original Planechase. As far as I know, all it had were planes in the planar decks. We have planes and Phenomenon in here. We've got Trega Jungle from some place called Ergamon. All lands have tap, add 1 mana of any color. That's nice. Whenever you roll a planar effect, reveal top 3 cards of your library, put all land cards revealed this way into your hand, rest on the bottom. Grand Ossuary, Ravnica. When a creature dies, its controller distributes a number of +1/+1 counters equal to the power amongst any number of target creatures he or she controls. You roll a planar die, each player exiles all creatures they control and puts X 1/1 green sapling tokens on the battlefield, where X is the total power of creatures he or she exiled this way. Then Planeswalk. Hedron Fields of Agadeem from Zendikar. Pay more attention to this camera's pointing. Creatures with power 7 or greater can't attack or block. Yeah, it shuts down the big Eldrazi. When you roll a planar tie, you get a 7/7 colorless Eldrazi creature token with Annihilator 1. Cute. Mount Coralia from some place called Ragatha. Okay. It gets pressure counters at upkeep. When you planeswalk away, deals damage equal to the number of these counters to each creature and each planeswalker. When you roll the chaos on the or roll the effect on the die, prevent all damage that plane-steamed Mount Coralia would deal this game to permanents you control. Interesting, right? All well and good. That's another thing, of course, is as a sorcerer, you can pay 1 mana. You can pay mana equal to the number of times the planar die's already been rolled this turn to roll the planar die. So the first roll is free. Second roll costs 1, and then 2 for the third, 3 for the fourth, so forth and whatnot. Nephalia from Innistrad. Yay! Beginning of your end step, put the top 7 cards of your library into your graveyard, then return a card at random from your graveyard to your hand. That could get messy fast. All sorts of stuff. Orzhov, lots of references to Ravnica in here. Whoops. Ring, never heard of, but it looks interesting. Those look funky. Velenon. Mutual Epiphany. It's a phenomenon. When you encounter it, each player draws 4 cards, then planeswalk away from this phenomenon. That's pretty saucy. Time Distortion. When you encounter this, reverse the game's order. That is kind of funky. That's kind of funky. Probably not going to be able to go over all of these planes. I wish I could, but I'm not. But yeah, there's planes from all over the place that do all sorts of fun. I'm going to look over the ones that came with Night of the Ninja now, real quick. We've got Takanuma from Kamigawa. Look at that. Whenever a creature leaves the battlefield, its controller draws a card. That's funk. We have something from a place called Equilor. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, it gains double strike and haste till end of turn. That's nice. That's nice. Qawamity from Innistrad. All creatures have vigilance. Glenolundra from Lorwyn. Oh geez, it's control exchange. End of combat, you may exchange control of target creature you control that dealt combat damage to a player this combat and target creature that player controls. Yippee yay. Karasha Foothills from some place called Mong Seng. Does funk. I'm not even going to fully read the thing. Norn's Dominion from New Phyrexia. When you planeswalk away from Norn's Dominion, destroy each non-land permanent without a fate counter on it, then remove all fate counters from all permanent. When you roll Planar Phenomenon on the planar die, you may put a fate counter on target permanent. Oh, well, now this is what boggles my mind on this one. So we've got Norn's Domain from New Phyrexia, and then we've got Quicksilver Sea from Mirrodin. Mirrodin is New Phyrexia. New Phyrexia is Mirrodin. So why the difference in names? Why? I don't know. Makes no sense. Quicksilver Sea. When you planeswalk to it, or at the beginning of your upkeep, scry 4. That's pretty saucy. Zephyr Maze. Creatures with flying get +2/+0. Creatures without flying get -2 nego. When you roll an effect on planar die, target creature gains flying till end of turn. Interplanar Tunnel. When you encounter or reveal cards from the top of your planar deck until you reveal 5 planar cards, put a plane card from among them on top of your planar deck, then put the rest of the revealed cards on the bottom in a random order. So basically it lets you choose what plane happens next. Morphic Tide, it's a phenomenon, it does funk. Put that aside. These came with the Primordial Hunger. We've got Jund, or Yund, however you want to pronounce it, from Alara. Whenever a player casts a black, red, or green creature, it gains Devour 5. Furnace Lair from New Phyrexia. When you planeswalk to it, or beginning of your upkeep, select a player or target player at random. That player discards a card. If that player discards a land card this way, he or she loses 3 life. Kilnspire District from Ravnica. It gets charge counters, adds red mana, does funk. Lair of the Ashen Idol from Osgol. Beginning of your upkeep, sack a creature if you can't planeswalk. Okay. On the other hand, whenever you roll a effect on the planar die, any number of target players each put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Orochi Colony from Kamigawa. Whoa. With ninjas and snakes and crazy stuff. Yeah, Kamigawa was kind of weird. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped, shuffle. Whenever you roll effect on the planar die, target creature is unblockable this turn. That's kind of interesting. What's interesting about that, though, is the Orochi were primarily a green tribe. Making a creature unblockable? It's not really much of a green mechanic. But whatever. Prov from Ravnica. If you cast a spell this turn, you can't attack with creatures. If you attack with creatures this turn, you can't cast spells. And when you roll an effect on the planar die, gain life equal to cards in hand. That's it. It's interesting. I think that captures the Black-White Guild pretty well. Celestial Loft Gardens, once again Ravnica. Stensia from Innistrad. Reality Shaping. Everyone takes a permanent from their hands, puts it on the board. Spatial Merging. When you encounter Spatial Merging, reveal cards from the top of your planar deck until you reveal 2 plane cards. Simultaneously planewalk to both of them. Put all the cards revealed this way on the bottom of your planar deck in any order. Yikes! Yikes! That's funk. That's funk. So this is looking like we got some nice stuff. Akum from Zendikar. Akum, however you want to pronounce it. Players may cast enchantment cards as though they had flash. That's kind of nice. Whenever you roll an effect, destroy target creature that isn't enchanted. You know, Gee, go figure, this came from the Savage Auras deck, right? Aratopoulos from some place called Kefali? Where do they get some of these names? I don't know. Get scroll counters. When it has 10 or more scroll counters, planeswalk. When you roll a effect on the planar die, draw cards equal to the number of scroll counters. That's kind of nice. Astral Arena from some place called Kolbahan. No more than one creature can attack each combat. No more than one can block each combat. And when you roll an effect on the planar die, it whips out a Pyroclasm. Edge's Malakal. It's from some place called Belanon. If a creature you control would untap during your untap step, put 2+1/+1 count. Where was I? Oh yeah. Like I said, it is if a creature you control would untap during your untap step, you put 2+1/+1 counters on it instead. Whenever you roll an effect on the planar die, untap each creature you control. This is interesting. This has the potential. This has potential. It has potential. Grove of Dream Pods from some place called Faberson. You reveal cards, look for until you find a creature, put it on the board. Silly stuff. Kashyyyk from Innistrad. There's a lot of references I've noticed to Innistrad and Ravnica, and to a lesser extent Kamigawa. Makes me wonder if in a couple of years we're going to be going back to Kamigawa. Kashyyyk's kind of an interesting one. Prevent all damage dealt by non-werewolves. If you roll an instant on the planar die, each creature you control gets +2/+2 and trample and becomes a werewolf, in addition to its other types. Onaki Catacomb. All creatures are black and have death touch. Whenever you roll effect on the planar die, each creature you control gets +1/+0 and first strike till end of turn. Plain Chandalar. Now, some people may not know about Chandalar. Chandalar was where a very old Magic the Gathering PC game took place. It's also where that PC game is also where all the sound effects for version 3 of Magic Online came from. I haven't played Magic Online in almost 2 years now because, because one of the moderators told me that a Russian reversal joke was hate speech. That was just bizarre. And I decided, you know what, all of the crazy crap that Wizard has done to screw up Magic Online since they launched it, like things like crazy stuff like the version 2 launch and Chuck's Virtual Party and how screwed up version 3 was from the get-go. From the get-go, it was bad. Just bad. I don't know why they decided to go live with version 3 when they did. It wasn't ready. And they still haven't brought leagues back yet. Leagues have been down for over 4 years now, since the version 3 launch. And Wizards is talking about, oh yeah, it's still a priority, and we want to get started on it in like sometime in 3rd, 4th quarter of this year. And it's just like, excuse me, yeah, down for over 4 years, that's not a priority. That's, we'll get to it when we feel good and ready. I don't believe so. Talongates, it's a place on Dominaria, the base setting for the game, which doesn't get visited too often. Interesting thing about the Talongates is in the Time Spiral storyline, that is where Teferi and crew encountered Nicol Bolas. Chaotic Ether. When you encounter it, each blank roll of the planar die is in effect. Roll until a player planeswalks away from a plane. Oh dear. That can be bad. That can be good. That can be a lot of things. Plane-wide disaster. It is a colorless day of judgment. So, yeah, there's all sorts of crazy funk in here. I wish I had some of the original Planechase planes, but I don't. I didn't get any of the original Planechase. I wish I had. But, yeah, I mean, overall, it does not look like a bad product. I mean, from what I just said about Magic Online earlier, some people might think, wait a minute, did you just trash talk Wizards? And yes, I did. Because Wizard of the Coast plus digital, any kind of digital venture or digital endeavor is garbage. If you don't believe me, check out Magic the Gathering Tactics. Oh dear gods. I'm sorry, Final Fantasy Tactics 1997 is head and shoulders above Magic the Gathering Tactics. It really is. It's like, come on, guys. You're talking about, like, a game that's over 10 years older for, like, a console that's largely considered obsolete these days, and you're not as good as it. But, for the most part, the designers overall know what they're doing when it comes to the actual physical card game, because it's not a digital endeavor. They can't screw it up that badly. But yeah, I mean, other than, of course, they make free card mechanics like Cascade, I don't know why they keep doing that. Cascade wouldn't even been as ridiculously powerful as it was if you had to discard a card to cast whatever you cascaded into. That would have been cool. That would have been mostly balanced. Heavens forbid it, but at least you're not getting you're getting it casting cost free, but at least you're not getting card advantage over it. With Cascade, you're getting card advantage, and you're getting it largely casting cost free. I mean, I don't know. In the words of the immortal Ozzy Osbourne, don't ask me. I don't know. Oh, hey, one other thing I want to talk about with these, the deck boxes they come in. What's really nice about them is that the bottom of the deck box is just folded flaps, unlike, the top where you have to, like, tuck the little thing in. Traditionally, what they would do is the bottom would also be a tuck in on a deck box, and that sometimes made putting your cards into the deck box problematic. Sometimes you get them stuck on that little lip from the fold-in piece on the bottom, and you screw up a card. Now, you can't do that. You can only blame yourself if that happens. So here they are, guys. Here they are. They're not bad. If you want to invest in one of them, it's an investment of your entertainment dollars, which means it's not really an investment. It's like buying a DVD, guys. Really, a Blu-ray, whatever. It's like buying a copy of a movie on home video, or going to the movies, whatever. I mean, it's an investment in that it's how you're spending your entertainment dollars. And that's the long and short of it. If you're looking at Magic the Gathering as a whole as an investment, you'd better be a dealer, because otherwise you're an idiot. It's not an investment. It's not designed to make you money. It's not designed to save you money. I will say, overall, Magic historically has been a pretty good way to spend your entertainment dollars, because when all is said and done, you have cards, you have something, you can keep playing with it. And that's a great thing. It really is. Like I said, this one right here is probably the Cascade deck, the Chaos Range deck. Probably the strongest of the decks. The Devour deck, which is Primordial Hunger, probably the weakest. The Savage Ores deck is interesting. And the Knight of the Ninja deck looks to be the most balanced overall. That's just my observation. If you want to know which one really matches your own personal playstyle the most, go online, look up the full deck lists. It's a good casual format, but I really that thing's nuts. And that thing's, but it's still worth looking at. It's still worth looking at. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, simply because of the disparate power levels in the products, I'd probably only give it a 6.5, maybe a 7. Don't get me wrong, I don't regret buying it. It looks nice. It's a nice little alternate play style. One of the things I don't like, though, is the planar cards. The planar phenomenon cards are, well, look at them. Look how big they are. How am I going to carry? Yeah, I can't put these in a normal card box. You just can't. And I think that's the big failing of these cards. What am I going to do? Am I going to lay them down on top or inside of the box? I can't stand them up. They're taller than the box. So you want to transport these, you have to lay them down on top of the rest of the stuff. I mean, and that's with a normal card box, you know. I mean, some people just don't use these. Some people use fat pack boxes. Because the boxes the product itself came in, not really suitable for transport. So we got the fat pack box, and you can put them in the fat pack box like that, but you're standing them up and you're going to have to tuck them off to the side. They're too wide for the fat pack box. They're just too wide for it. Look at that. They're too wide for it. They're too tall for it. The only way to stuff them in is like that on the side, and I think it's a great idea. I think the whole planeswalk idea and whatnot is a really fun idea. And I just think that these cards, just because you have to do something special to transport them, I think it's a pain in the butt, and I think that probably hinders people playing it. I think it does. I honestly believe that. And I think that's the big failing of the Planechase format. Maybe that's me, I don't know. But I do like that they have at least given you some more incentive to get these by putting new cards in here. That's nice, I like it, it's a great idea. Any product with new cards, really nice. Especially if you're doing something like this throws a new legend, this throws a brand new Minotaur into the game. I mean, it's always great to see new battle cattle, it really is. At least that's my opinion. Alright, I'm rambling now. This video is 2 pieces that need to be spliced together. That takes time. Plus, I'm uploading last week's draft video to YouTube as we speak. So, I'm going to cut this off now. And, you know what? If you don't believe my evaluation of the product, check it out yourself. I always encourage people to check things out themselves. You know, don't take any one person's word for it. Not even mine. Because although I usually know what I'm talking about, and I will admit when I'm not 100% sure, don't sit there and think that, you know, I'm not going to make a mistake and just through ignorance or a misunderstanding blow smoke up your ass when I don't mean to. You know, it'll happen. Everybody does it at some point or another. Even me. Even you. Yes, you. You! Alrighty, have a good one, fellas. Stay safe, happy gaming, etc., etc. May none of your rares be life laces. Look it up. Later, guys.